Hello guys, welcome to another video of Microsoft Azure. In this video, we'll be discussing about network interfaces. We'll create network interfaces and we'll see how we can set up it and how we can basically attach the subnets or network security groups and how we can attach the virtual machines with the network interfaces in Azure. Okay, let me open the documentation and briefly explain you what is the network interface. If you see the definition here, a network interface enables on an Azure virtual machine to communicate with Internet, Azure, and on-premises resources. Okay, so suppose you have a virtual machine and you want to communicate with the Internet, or you want to access any of the Azure PaaS services or any resources in Azure, you will have to access that with network interface. Okay, so basically this is a medium which you can use to connect your virtual machine with other resources in Azure, or that can be your even on-premises resources and also the internet. Okay, now let me scroll down, and here you can see other things as well, which I will explain when I will create the network interface. Okay, let me go here in the Azure portal, and if you search the network interface here, you will get one. This option here, you can create the network interface. In some cases, even if you create private endpoints, by default, one network interface will be created and one private IP will be assigned to that, and that network interface will be attached to your private endpoint. So this generally happens in some of the resources, not in every all the resources. Mostly we use network interface for the virtual machines, that can be either Azure or AWS or any other cloud. Okay, so to create the network interface, you can select the resource here. You can specify the network interface name, region, virtual network, and subnets. If you have any existing virtual networks, you can select that as well. Or if you have any existing subnet, you can select one existing subnet as well. You can select the IP version, what you need. Let me go back again since there is some issue. You can select both IPv4 and IPv6 to use in your network interface. Let me go back again. Select the resource group, select the network interface name. Region, make sure you are selecting the same region which you have. I mean, the virtual machines are already there in that region. You'll have to select the virtual machine, then select your virtual machine and subnet, and you can either select IPv4, and if you need IPv4 and both IPv6, you can select it. If you just need only IPv4, you can only select this. Okay, here you can select the private IP address assignment. Either you can assign the IP addresses dynamically, or if you have some particular uh, static IP from this subnet, you can also select the static and add your private IP address here. So in this case, your private IP address will not be changed even if you delete and recreate the network interface if you have the private IP. Okay, if you want to just dynamically create the IP, you don't need to specify anything, you can just select the dynamic and create your network interface. In this case, if you are selecting the dynamic, if you delete your network interface and recreate again, the IP address which is assigned will be changed. In case of static, it will not change. Next, add the tags and click on review plus create. Okay, it will run the validation and it will give you an option to create the network interface. Let's wait for few seconds. It should complete the deployment of network interface. It had submitted the deployment and also created it. If you see the resource net-01 type is something like this: Microsoft.network network interfaces status created. Let me go to resource. If you see the details here, we have only private IP address assigned. We don't have any public IP address. If you have to assign the public IP address, you will have to create it and assign one public IP address after creating the network interface. Okay, you cannot directly assign the public IP address while creating it. The network interface from the portal, you will have to either do it with ARM templates or Azure CLI or with PowerShell. Okay, here you can see the virtual network subnet and all the other details. In properties, you will see properties of your network interface. Okay, you can manage activity log, access controls from here, and in IP configuration you can change the IP addresses, or you can add multiple IP addresses. Even you can change the, or you can see the subnets as well. Okay, you can enable IP forwarding if this is your requirement, so that this will allow your virtual machine to basically connect or to send the traffic to different IP addresses as well, other than the IP addresses which you might have configured here in the private IP addresses or public IP addresses. Okay, here is your virtual network subnet, and if you click on add, you can add more IP addresses from here. You can specify the IP configuration name, IP version, type secondary, private IP address setting, dynamic or static, or if you need to associate a public IP address, you can click on it and it will create one public IP address. Okay, so if I click on OK, it will create a public IP address. Once this is created, you can again add it. Give num give some name, something like this, and you can add it. So once you have done it, public IP address will also be added. One public IP address will be created and that will be added inside your network interface. And again, you can add this network interface to your virtual machine to access the internet with this public IP. Okay. Now let me go to the DNS server. If you check the IP configurations again, we can see we have the test01 IP configuration created, and here we have the private IP address, and this is also the public IP address created and attached to this. If you go to the DNS servers, you can use the DNS server. Either you can inherit the DNS server which you are using in the virtual network. If you open your virtual network, generally we configure the DNS servers which we are using. That can be either Azure provided, or you can use your custom DNS server as well. You can inherit that setting directly from the virtual network, or if you want to uh, basically add DNS server based on the network interface level, you can also add that here in the DNS server. Okay, but in most of the cases, if your requirement is not to use some custom or external DNS server, you can just use the Microsoft provided, which is being inherited from virtual network. Okay, let's discard it. Here in the network security group, you can attach network security groups to this network interface so that all the traffic from this network interface or to this network interface will go via this network security group. You can add inbound and outbound rules in your network security group so that all the traffic from your virtual machine or to your virtual machine, if you are attaching this network interface to your virtual machine, all the traffic will go via this network security group so that you can filter your traffic, which is basically incoming traffic and outgoing traffic to the resource. Okay, that is nothing but virtual machine. Here in the properties, you can see all the properties, subscription and all. And logs, you can add the logs. And in the alerts and all, you can set up the alert rule. You can see the insights. You can even create the metrics as well. Okay. See, we have, you are seeing the insights here. We have the virtual network. Inside that, we have this subnet. Inside this subnet, we have created a network interface, and we have these two IP configurations added here. In the metrics, you can see the metrics about it, about this network interface. You can select different types of metrics from here, and you will be able to see in this chart. If you need to export this template or create the network interface with automation, you can export the template and use this to create it. Okay. Whenever you are creating a new virtual machine, either you can select this network interface which you have already created to use, or if you are not selecting any network interface, your Azure virtual machine will create one default network interface and will attach that network interface to your virtual machines. Okay, so if you have one network interface which is already set up and all the rules and all the properties are correctly configured, you can use the same network interface to connect your virtual machine so that all the networking will be done using this network interface, and you will not see any of the issues while running the virtual machine. Okay, so in this video we have covered how we can create the network interfaces, what are the network interfaces, and how we can basically modify all the properties related to the network interfaces. Okay, that's it from this video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe my channel. If you have any feedback or suggestions, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.